Hello there. Welcome to a video for Grade 12 Essential Math on how to use cosine law to solve for a side. Cosine law, like sine law, can be used when we do not have a right angle triangle, we do not have an angle that is 90 degrees. Now our formula for cosine law looks a little different from sine law, but it does look very familiar. The first part of this formula is the same as Pythagorean theorem. A squared equals b squared plus c squared. However, we have to add this extra term at the back, minus 2bc cos A, in order to use this for a non-right angle triangle. Also, please note, this is the cosine law to solve for side A. If you're solving for side B or C, you'd switch things around a bit. Because it's a little tricky to switch things around, I usually find that it's easiest to relabel my triangle so that I'm always looking for side A. It's just a little bit of a trick that makes it a little bit easier to do, in my opinion. So let's take a look at an example here. In this case, I've got an example from an old exam. Here we go. I've got a triangle here. I'm looking for side A. So if I'm looking for side A here, that's awfully convenient. This is going to be angle A. Notice side A does not touch angle A. The other two here, B and C, are not super important which one is which because the formula will still work. So this would be side C and this would be side B. Now let's start by writing our formula for cosine law. So cosine law is a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc times the cosine of A. Now, plugging things in, it's a good idea to write this formula out first because it helps you make sure that you plug things in correctly. As I'm substituting through this, I know that I'm looking for A. Don't forget the squared there. I have side B, so that's 12 squared plus 8 squared minus 2 times 12 times 8 times the cosine of 30 degrees. Please note these are times in here, and the trickiest thing with this is to make sure that you're doing your BEDMAS correctly. Make sure that you're doing this in the correct order as you go through this. So, as we go through this, this would be 144 plus 64 minus, now this chunk here works out to 192 times the cosine of 30. Cosine of 30 works out to 0.866 and a bunch more decimals that I'm leaving in my calculator. I don't need to write down all these decimals, but it is a good idea to leave them in your calculator so you don't have rounding errors later. As we go through this, my next step is to combine all of this so that it works out to 41.7231. And again, there's lots and lots of decimals here. This here, make sure you're doing this multiplication first and then doing your addition and subtraction afterwards. Make sure you're doing BEDMAS in the correct order. Once I get this, notice that this is still a squared equals that. In order to get rid of this squared, I need to take the square root of both sides here. That allows me to get my value for the length of A, and that works out to 6.46 feet in this case. Please note, our units are feet, so don't forget your units. Don't forget that you should have your final answer with 2 decimals. In order to make sure that you round it correctly, please make sure you're not rounding off too early. Leave this whole value of cos 30 in your calculator as you multiply it through, and then make sure that you're continuing using enough decimals here. I would also strongly recommend, if your calculator can do this, and most calculators can once you figure out how to push the buttons in what order, you can do this here in one step. Punch that into your calculator in one step, and it will get you the correct answer. It will do the BEDMAS for you. Most calculators will do that, but double check to figure out that you know how to do it. If you don't, then do it in separate steps. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.